Hi, everybody. This is Jane. I'm sorry I'm not there to celebrate with all of you. I'm going to be attending the event in New Hampshire. I wasn't sure what to say about our mom. She was an incredible woman, an incredible mom. She made us all feel so special. We were the most important people in her life. Her kids were. But on that note, I have a couple stories I was going to share. I remember Kim came home and she brought me this black shirt and it had gold lettering and it said, "Never underestimate the power of a woman." So I put it on. I'm walking around. I was 9 years old and I was so excited. I thought this was the coolest shirt. And Andy, Fred, and Norm were outside playing ball and they were like laughing at me and made fun of me and they made me cry. And I remember running to my mom. Yes, Norman, I told I knew. And told mom what they said. And mom said, "Jane, don't ever underestimate your power." And she taught us to stand up for ourselves. She taught me to stand up for who I am. There's a couple other stories that I'm going to share. On this note, it's going to go up to mom. I wasn't the one who threw the mud pies at the house. It was actually Bubs Dortweiler. But mom, I took the blame because I didn't want Bubs Dortweiler to get in trouble or get spanked with the plastic hot rod tracks. Clear my conscience, I didn't do it. But on that same note, this is going out to Steve Dortweiler because I remember telling mom what Bubs and I did one night. We were drinking and decided that we need more alcohol. I'm not sure exactly why we didn't go to a liquor store. Bubs may have to fill people in on that one. But we decided it was more appropriate to go to Steve Dortweiler's house and steal a six-pack of beer. And I remember telling mom this story, and mom is like, "Janie, that is horrible. You sent Steve Dortweiler $20 to buy beer." I said, "Well, first off, the beer wasn't $20. Secondly, that's creepy. So a shout out to all my siblings. One of you buy Steve Dortweiler's six-pack of beer." So I'm off the hook, and my conscience is clear. Last thing, I want everybody to raise a toast to an incredible woman, an incredible mother, and here's to my mom. I love you all so much. Bye, everybody. I love you.
First off, I love you, Mom. You know what? You were the most important person in my life, at least until I met my wife. But my wife was a lot like you. What do they say? You marry somebody like your old mom, right?
That's true.
And so she's been a rock, and you've always been a rock. Thank you for being a great mom.
I think of spending that rainy day up
In the stadium.
in the stadium, all by ourselves,
Yeah.
just the two of us.
The two sturdy ladies, the DNA that has no back down whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's the stock we were made of. When you get to heaven, you get to say hi to my sons. Make sure you hunt them down, your grandsons, Michael and Darren. Say hi to Joe. Say hi to Dad. I didn't know Grandma and Grandpa because they passed before I got around or started remembering those things, but make sure
Right.
you say hi to them and anybody else who greets you at the pearly gates, all right?
Right.
Thanks for teaching me life lessons. I'll never forget them. But thank you for being a great mom. Okay?
Okay. Fred, thank you for being a great son. You have been a great son.
You're ready for your next adventure, right?
I am. I am.
Yeah.
While sitting here reflecting on what I want to say with regard to our mother and her passing on to her next great adventure last year, I realized that is pretty much how she described every major new life challenge she ever faced. Moving with her then 9 children literally across the country from New Hampshire over to Salt Lake City to help accommodate our father's educational ambitions to finish his PhD, and living amongst throngs of Mormons, being the only Catholic family for miles around, was quite the adventure and challenge. And raising us all while our father worked part-time jobs, making minimum wage no less. While in Utah, both Jane and Norman were born, and Mom just kept adventuring on. The now famous story about us all having bologna sandwiches for Thanksgiving while we were there is testament to just one of the many creative ways in which our mother managed to keep us fed and happy despite our relative poverty growing up. Mom always could stretch the food dollar in amazing ways, and as a result, never did any of us go hungry. Although I think a few of us might still detest bologna sandwiches. 3 years later, with our father's PhD completed, once again, Bev packed up what was now 11 of us, and we all made the big move, first to Crested Butte, then to Doyleville, and a couple years later into Gunnison, while Dad was teaching at Western State College. I honestly never heard our mother complain one time about doing any of that, always countering us children, whining at her by exclaiming, "Come on now, it'll be a great adventure." After getting into Gunnison, all without the benefit of ever having a driver's license, she still managed to have another child, our youngest Carolyn, while still taking care of all the laundry, cooking, and feeding all of us, supervising many other household chores, and while earning her own master's degree in counseling while still juggling all of those tasks and 1,001 others. Again, what did I hear from her? It's all a great adventure, Edward. When she and our father divorced, Mom made the bold and brave decision to start looking for a teaching position in faraway Alaska because, as she told me at the time, they have the best wages for teachers up there. And of course, it'll be a great adventure, don't you think? After securing a position at the Susitna Valley High School as a home ec teacher and counselor, she once again packed up her 3 youngest. And I had the privilege of driving them all up from Gunnison to Talkeetna, as she was still squeamish about driving since she had only recently finally got her driver's license. We finally arrived in Talkeetna after about a 10-day drive from Colorado, and we drove into town to see the mobile home Mom had rented in advance, sight unseen. We pulled up to a 12 by 40 washed out, decrepit mobile home that had definitely seen better days. And when we went inside, it was almost as decrepit, run down, and filthy as it was on the outside. Mom immediately sat down at the little kitchen table, held her face to her hands, and just broke down crying. "Oh my God, what have I done?" she exclaimed. "And how can we live in this pigsty? My God!" While she continued sobbing, Jane, Norma, Carolyn, and myself all gathered around her and wrapped our arms around her and said, "It's okay, Mom. We can help clean it up. It's not that bad, really. We can make this look great, Mom. Please don't cry. It's all right, Mom." And right then on cue, Norman pipes in with, "Hey, Mom, it's all just part of our great new adventure, right?" To which she immediately stopped crying, started laughing very hard, hugged us all back in one gigantic hug and said, "Norman, you are so right. This is a great adventure." Mom and her crew did clean the trailer up real nice, and for a few months it served as her first home in Alaska until once again, Mom announced to her 3 youngest that yet another adventure was about to begin, and they made their final move into a cabin located just a few miles out of town closer to the school. My dear mother instilled in me, and I would dare say all of us, such a great respect for and honoring of all life's challenges, as she recognized the deep value and growth inherent in what most of us see as either painful or difficult. To courageously and forthrightly move through those obstacles and difficulties with an eye toward how we can come out the other side bigger and better, and not to ever let the past or our fears ever hold us back from all that we can accomplish and all we can be. She also taught me that shame, guilt, and regret can all be overcome with sincere prayer, offering profound amends when appropriate, curating deep forgiveness for myself and others, and holding eternal faith in the goodness of God in the universe to give us everything we ever need. For regardless of the challenges we all must overcome, no challenge is too large that it cannot be reframed into something redemptive, grace-filled, and deeply loving. Mom taught me that, and she taught me to forever pursue the greatest version of the grandest vision I ever held for who I could be, and I've always tried my very best to do that. For Mom saw all of life as a great new adventure, not something to shy away from or run in fear away from, but rather something to be embraced, nurtured, and loved. And fittingly, Mom is now participating in her own great new adventure, while she's still quietly on the sidelines, attending to the spiritual and material needs of her sister, her children, her grandchildren, and their children, as she waits for all of us who eventually meet her there, where we can all once again take on a great new adventure together.
I was very fortunate. I spent 3 months in Spain at one time and another 3 months in Mexico, and both of them were just outstanding adventures that I had. I loved every minute of it. So stay healthy, eat right, and drink lots of water, make sure it's clean, and keep your upbeat personality, be positive, and look at each segment of this decision that you've made is going to be good for you.
Loves, Grandma.
Bye-bye, darling.
Bye-bye.
I love you lots.
Love you lots.